Valdelobos, a quiet rural Spanish town full of farmers, construction workers, with a simple-minded population that like to work hard and play hard. But what's really going on underneath the surface? How is this town doing economically? We're going to find out by calculating its unemployment rate. All right, now there's only one way to calculate unemployment, and that is by directly surveying the citizens of a town. Now, unfortunately, the citizens of this town really hate the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so you can't like go up and talk to them like you could in Pianta Village. So we're gonna have to do a lot of observing from afar. Now, what I'm seeing in front of me is 4 people that are working. Is that fair to say? This lady's doing bucket water job. That guy's doing bucket job. Then you got hay man and wheelbarrow man. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and say all these people are employed. But I think that's about as easy as it's going to get, because it's rapidly going to become very difficult to tell who's who. So I'm going to need to like keep track of how many total people are even in this village while they're chasing me around trying to kill me, which is going to be fun. Now, if I go back around here, I've got one more of the blue women, so I'll mark her down. And wouldn't you know it, she's employed. She's working on hay. That's some good hay moving. All right, well, oh my goodness. Sir, I'm from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I'm here to see if you're employed. Oh, God. All right, this job's going to be a little trickier than our last job, I think. Oh, my goodness, there's another man back here. All right. Sir, I'm under the impression that you were working on this. Oh, God. You were doing some work with this hay barrel. Ah! So I'm gonna, given the choice of weapon, I assume you were working on that pile of hay. So I'm going to go ahead and, say that you're also employed, sir. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, there's a man up top. Is that Santa Claus? Yeah, that's Santa Claus. Okay. Now, sir, what are you doing up there? Because everyone else, when I came into this village, like it's clearly the middle of the workday, and this is not the type of place that you can just be standing around during the workday. Everybody needs to contribute. That's kind of the rules of a village like this. So who are you that you're standing up there doing nothing? What's going on with that? Ah, like you're not even helping fend off the bureau, and that seems to be the one job that everyone does. So I'm sorry to say, sir, but it doesn't really look like you're employed. This is a very stressful enumeration. All right, is there anybody in this house? Hello? Employment? Leave me alone. Okay, well, a lot of new people just showed up, so now I gotta try and count them and see. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, God. All right, a lot of new people just showed up, and I know one of them for sure is employed. And you know how I can tell? Because of the chainsaw. And I mean, it makes sense. Everything in this town is built out of wood, right? So there's clearly a need for someone who can build, and he's the only one with a chainsaw. So I think almost certainly that man is employed. I mean, look at him. He is working very hard. No doubt. He's working harder than the rest of these people. He's putting his back into it. He's really got that hustle you want. You know, he works hard. All right, I just got a call from the Bureau, and they've authorized me to use lethal force. They said as long as I've accurately enumerated somebody, they don't have to be alive anymore. So I believe the entire village is chasing me at this point. And aside from the one guy I killed in self-defense, obviously, that puts the total population at 10 people, and I've currently counted 8 of them. Oh my God, they can climb walls. Now, it's tough now that they're chasing me to tell whether they're actually employed, or if they're doing this as a hobby. But if they're chasing me, they're clearly able-bodied and able to work. So what can we use to determine whether those guys are employed or not? I mean, we could certainly go by whether or not the other people that look like them are employed, but that's starting to sound a little bit like the birth of racism, so we're not gonna do that. Maybe what we'll do is I'll look and see if they have any weapons or any sort of tools on them. But like this guy, he's got nothing. He's walking around just like pretending to be somebody. Now that said, okay, they don't have any tools, but let's not discount the fact that they both showed up when the chainsaw man showed up. And the chainsaw man, we've determined, is an authority figure of some kind, because he's the only one who gets the chainsaw, and he also wears some sort of mask. So if you figure the chainsaw man actually owns and runs the construction company, and then maybe that was his whole construction crew out with him, and they were maybe like building a church or something. So actually, I think in this enumerator's opinion, we can probably count both of them as employed. Congratulations, sir. And congratulations to you as well. You're employed. Oh my god, more people just showed up. That's not good. What do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 people showed up. They came from where? Where? 5 people just showed up. Where do they come from? I'm gonna assume they're all part of the same group or same family of some kind, because they came in all at the same time. So they all probably came from the same place, which means that we maybe could assume if one of them's employed, all of them are employed. So I suppose what we need to do is maybe investigate where they came from. And if they came from like just somebody's house, they're probably not employed. But if they came from like a farm, we could assume they are employed. So I guess that's what we've got to do. They all came from up here. Now I can't go that way yet. And I think it's actually quite a while before I get to that part of the game. That's according to the information I have from the Bureau. And it's quite a number of hours into the game until I get to that point. So we're just going to have to continue on with our survey of the immediate village. And maybe we'll come back to that later. Now, this next area is very explicitly a farm. I think it's fair to say that anybody in this area is an employed farmer. Are we in agreement? If we're not in agreement, I don't care. I'm the enumerator. So first and foremost, we got this guy. He's working hard on doing hay. He's on hay duty. And back here, we got this guy. This guy's milking cows. You can tell by his cow bucket. And is there anybody else in here? Oh, we got another guy here. Look at this. These people work hard. Oh, and I got 2 more people. That guy's working hard in a different kind of way, doing a lot of spins. Now this guy's a little more ambiguous, but he's got 2 axes on him. He's got one that he's trying to kill me with, and then he has a second one. And I think anyone who has 2 axes, if one of them's a killing axe, then the other one has to be a working axe, right? And if you have a working axe, that you're employed. Because why would you have a working axe if you weren't employed? And I believe that's everyone on this farm, so that's good. All right, on to the next area in that case. So many people to enumerate in this village. Just a nice cat. Oh, okay, 3 people up there. What are they doing? Just pushing rocks down on unsuspecting tourists? Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Ah! So there were 3 people up there just standing there waiting to push a boulder on somebody walking by. So I don't like to make assumptions, but every time I've known people who just sat on the sides of the road and threw rocks or snowballs and stuff at cars, those were not people with jobs. That's not, I'm sorry, that's not employed behavior. What you guys are doing right now is not employed behavior. Where's your friend? There were 3 of you before. It's not employed behavior. You guys need to get a job, and just because I can't see him doesn't mean your friend doesn't count. Go get jobs. Okay, what's next? Oh my goodness, this does not look like the type of place that employed people hang out. This is decrepit. What kind of a person hangs out in a neighborhood of condemned houses with a stick of dynamite? An employed person? I mean, again, much like throwing boulders at a passerby, this is just, it's delinquent behavior. I mean, this is worse. This is worse than just delinquent behavior. This is like severe drug addict behavior, you know? Hanging out in a house like this, just playing with dynamite. If you're addicted to drugs, I don't mind. But if you're addicted to drugs and you're hanging out in a house like this, throwing dynamite at people who try to talk to you, well, that's illogical behavior. Okay, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics is not going to count you as employed if you're going to behave like that. So that's 2 for the unemployment. All right, things have gotten a little out of hand as I've been enumerating, but don't worry about it. Everything's fine. So next up, we're in this valley area. It's unclear to me whether this valley is part of the village, but I do happen to know that the name of the village is Valdelobos, which in Spanish means Valley of the Wolves. So I feel like this is probably the valley that they're referring to. Ergo, it probably counts. Before we go out these gates, though, we do have to tackle one of the most important questions that everyone was wondering. What about this guy?
Got something that might interest you.
Clearly he's employed. There's no question about that. But the question is he a resident of the village? If you've played Resident Evil 4 before, you know that he travels around a lot, you know? And if you listen to him speak, you'll hear that he kind of has an Australian accent. Now, Australians are allowed to move to other countries, okay? That's one of the privileges afforded to them by the Australian government. So it's possible he's Australian and he just moved here. And I do feel like based on the way he's dressed, he's not traveling out of this part of the world very frequently. He probably lives and sells stuff around here specifically and nowhere else. And I think given that, we can probably count him as employed. Much like with the farm, we probably just have to assume that everybody who's in this valley is either employed or unemployed as just a matter of context, because we're not going to be able to determine what each individual person is doing because all they are doing is trying to kill me. Whoops. How many people did I just blow up? 2? Okay, so I just killed 5 people. Oh, make that 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Is that 12? Oh, 2 more, 14. Whatever this valley is, it has to be some sort of business. There's no way there are 21 well-dressed, unemployed people in a valley like this, right? So let's see, this place, they've got like chains hanging from the roof, a lot of boxes sitting around. None of this feels residential. This is sort of like a work locker, right, with a grenade in it. Oh yeah, look at this. Yep. Okay, so it's a mine. That's what this is. This is a mine, and all these people work at the mine digging up dirty rocks. I honestly don't think in playing this before I ever realized that this was like a mine. It's like a little mountain mining town. Oh my god, there's 3 more people. Make that 24. What's that? 5 more? 6 more people? Now, as I'm walking around this mining village here, I'm noticing a distinct lack of residential amenities. There's not very many beds. I don't think I've seen a single bed, which I do think reinforces the idea or the theory that every single person we just dealt with was employed at the mine, because they're not here for lollygagging, right? Now, unfortunately, they're all dead, so I can't put the little employed things in front of their face, but what I can do is look up at the sky in heaven where all of them are, and we can put all the little things there. So 30 people employed. Who would have guessed that the Resident Evil 4 village was a mining town? Honestly. The next building we're going to be checking out is this. This is obviously some sort of factory. So once again, anyone in here we can probably assume is employed. Hello, what kind of a factory is this? What kind of work are we doing here today? Hello, factory workers. Congratulations on being employed. 1, 2, 3, 4 more employed at the factory. Look at all these people working. What are y'all doing at this factory? Burning? Oh, it's like a furnace? You guys are... Oh, you're probably taking the mine stuff and then you guys burn it and like turn it into bear traps, apparently. Oh, hello, sir. Congratulations on being employed. Another one for the factory. And I believe that's everyone at the factory. Okay, next up, there's a mansion in the village. We're checking that now. So far, there's nobody in it, but we're gonna just very carefully check. I've gotten a little bit cautious as an enumerator, for example, because some people don't seem to like that I'm here. Sir, all I wanted to know was if you're employed, for God's sake. I just wanted to know. Please, I'm just trying to do my job. Okay, next up is this guy. He's probably part of the construction company on account of the chainsaw. Probably took it over from the last guy. And it doesn't seem like these people live in the mansion, so we can assume they're here to do some sort of work, like maybe chop down these trees or something. Most likely these are like the groundskeepers for the mansion, possibly fence builders. But either way, this guy is employed. He's got two people with him, it looks like. Probably part of his crew, same as the other time we met one of these guys. So between him and those 2 people, that makes 3 more people employed. And then down here we've got 1, 2 more people. Now these people don't look as employed as the other ones, to be honest. But they were staying in that little shack. And that shack kind of looks like a butler's house, you know? So these are probably like the butlers for the mansion up here. That would make sense. And finally, there are 4 people standing in between me and getting back to the starting village. Are these 4 people employed? Well, they came from the starting village. They're not playing with dynamite. They're not throwing things at me. They're not living in squalor. And they are standing around with tools next to all of the groundskeepers for the mansion. So, I mean, just hazarding a wild guess, there's no reason to think they're not employed. And now with them taken care of, guess what? We have made it back to the original village. Oh my goodness, and there's new people working. Wow, there seems to be some sort of indefatigable supply of workers in this here town, which is a little troubling that they have such a fine supply of people who just seem to want to work all the time and don't ask questions, and they live in tiny sheds, but you know, that's neither here nor there. So how many more folks we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of them hard at work, right? None of them are just standing around like last time we came here. Oh, 6. Make that 6. Looks like there are 9 people total in the town at the moment, and 8 of them are employed, but it looks like one of them is not. How come it seems like there's always one guy who is unwilling to participate? I guess no matter how good of an economy you have, you're always gonna have one person who just doesn't want to work. And I know there's been a lot of discussion about, oh, well, if they don't want to work, then they don't count as unemployed. To a certain extent, I guess I agree with that. And maybe when I analyze this data, we'll make a different determination. But for now, I'm counting this guy as unemployed. Okay, I think that probably brings us to like maybe halfway done. There's quite a bit left to go, though. Next up, we're going to be heading up towards the village church. Once again, we're going to assume that most people in this area are probably at work, but we'll do our best, if we need to, of discerning, you know, for each individual one. Here's our first contestant. She's come out of the shed, so she's probably a caretaker of the church. That counts as employment. This man also came running as soon as I killed her. So, well, not running. He came walking. Tell you what, if I'm wearing the wrong pants, I'll come walking. All right, never mind. Let's forget I said that. Most likely, given where he is and when he's there, we're going to count him as employed as well. That's 2 employed. Surely it takes more than 2 people. Ah, so it does. How many people does it take to tend a church? Oh my god, dynamite! I feel like the dynamite is not something someone who tends a church would have. They were standing outside the church. I think regardless, it's most likely that they were employed. Hanging out in the back of the church. Probably you live or work for the church. Oh, it's just a bunch of people on the bridge. What are y'all doing on the bridge? Are you working? I mean, you must be working, right? You must be doing something. Maybe if we check and see what's in this shed, there'll be some clues. There's a note nearby that talks about how all these people need to get something back. And it basically sounds like all the people in this village are in a cult, which makes sense given their behavior. It brings up the tricky ethical question of, if you're in a cult, can you be employed by the cult? I'm not sure, but I gotta count these people. 1, 2, 3, 3. 3 people. You know, after thinking about it more, I don't know if I believe that being in a cult makes you employed. Again, that would make literally everyone employed. You know, if you're a member of a church, that doesn't make you employed. If you work for the church, you're employed. And to me, the people on this bridge feel like people who are members of the church, but don't necessarily work for the church. You know? They're like doing favors for the priest, but not necessarily employed in their own right. Now, he's holding a pitchfork, so it's possible he's a farmer, but everyone and their mother seems to have a pitchfork in this town, so that's not really proof of anything. For the time being, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to count half of them employed and half of them unemployed. Sorry. Okay, so we found the merchant again. This is the merchant. And just for those of you who doubted whether the merchant was really employed here, look at this. My man has set up an entire United States Department of Defense in the basement of this shack. You want to tell me this man doesn't reside, you know, in this jurisdiction? Come on. Definitely employed. In fact, I'm gonna play the jingle again because he's so employed. This man might be the most employed man in the whole village. Okay, onwards and upwards into this next part. I'm limping. Oh, look at this. What is going on with these guys? They are putting this poor man through hell. Overall, I may be impressed so far with the employment situation, but I am honestly sort of disappointed at how much chicanery and delinquency is going on in this village. But we'll talk about that in the report later. I just here to gather data. I got this guy who may or may not be some sort of fisherman, but I'm gonna run past him for now. Ah, Christ. All right, so what's this area? Is this like a fishing place? The people are all dressed. Ooh, they're all kind of dressed like fishermen, and by that I mean they're dressed exactly the same as everyone else in this goddamn game. Choose stop. I just kicked your face off because of that. That was an apt punishment. All right, so that's 1 person down. I gotta count these people as I kill them. 1 dead, 2 dead, 3, 5, 12, 13, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So I've got 20 people in this area doing something. The first instinct is that this is some kind of fishing pier, but it also could be like a nature preserve. So it's not clear whether or not this is a place that people are actually working. Because there's no tools. There are 20 men hanging around here doing absolutely nothing. And if this was a place that people were fishing, participating, you know, there would be fishing poles or some sort of spear, and there's not. So it might just be 20 unemployed men hanging out in the swamp. They obviously had the resources to set up bombs and dynamite, but so did those other people, and we did say they were unemployed. I don't know. What would that make our numbers look like? That would make us have suddenly 30 unemployed people. That's a huge number of unemployed people. You know what? Maybe what I'll do is I'll take these 30 people? 20 people. I'll take these 20 people, and then whatever the unemployment rate of the rest of the group is, I'll apply it commensurately with those people. That's not the right word, but you know what I'm saying. So if the final unemployment rate is like 9%, then I'll just take that and apply that to those people and then distribute them that way. Does that make sense? All right, if you don't like that plan, you can just write a comment and then keep it to yourself. I feel like we're really exploring a lot of new methodology for unemployment calculations in this episode, which is also why it's taking so goddamn long. I feel like we're really exploring a lot of new methodology for unemployment calculations in this episode, which is also why it's taking so goddamn long. Okay, our precious enumerator is trying to make it across a lake, and I have a feeling, yeah, we're about to get attacked by a giant lake monster. I probably don't need to ask, but are we going to include the lake monster in the survey? I'm going to go with no, on account of the lack of sentience. But, counterpoint, all these people in the village are infected with a brain disease that makes them sort of zombified. So probably may not be sentient, right? So if we're going to include... I got to also play the game while I do this, sorry. So if we're going to include the zombies, would it also not make sense to include this fish? That's all I'm saying. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to include the fish as part of the non-applicable. But I'm just saying it's a thought experiment, right? Could the fish even hold down a job? Maybe that's the real question. Probably not. Boy, enumerating sure is tiring. And it makes me want to vomit blood. That's just part of the job, you know? I think I'm going to take a rest in this cabin. And, you know, just sleep the silly off, as they say. And we'll do more surveying tomorrow. Alright, what do you suppose is behind this door? Some sort of employment office? Some sort of business? Some sort of entrepreneur? Nope. It's just more dirt. Oh, there you go. Now, with this guy, we're starting to blur the line between... You know, again, it was a joke. We were talking about the giant fish. Does the fish count? And we were like, of course the fish doesn't count. But what about this? Can this be employed? It's like an alien. So that's 2 people, possibly not people. But, I mean, we have to count them because they're basically people. Honestly, okay, here's the argument. If you took my head off, like if you took the skin off of my head, I would also look like a crazy bug, monster, alien. So we can't really discriminate based on that. All right. So they definitely can be employed. I don't know why I was thinking it was okay to discriminate them just based on what they look like. That was a little problematic of me. But whether they're doing something that's employment, we still have to determine. And the way to determine that is to determine where we even are. This looks like a dam. And you do need workers to run a dam, so that's a good sign. Yeah, see, look, it's a crank. And you know, you don't have cranks if it's a residential. Cranks only exist for places that are for employment, you know? No one's ever heard of a residential crank. Oh my goodness, more workers. 7 more people employed at the dam, which brings the total to 10. This piece of paper looks like the scrawlings of a lunatic. And I'm gonna lose track of what's what. But you know what, that's fine. It's my video, and you guys aren't gonna ever know if the data's wrong, because that would require you to go survey all these people yourselves, which you're not gonna do because it's a huge pain in the ass. So I'm omniscient, not omniscient, infallible, like the Pope. God's omniscient. The Pope is infallible. The Pope is not omniscient. That would be weird. Also, if he was, we would definitely know, because we would be like, Pope, nobody knows if aliens exist. He'd be like, yeah, I do. Maybe he wouldn't say, though. That'd be a popey thing. That'd be like a popey thing to do. Would be to be kind of coy. Popes are very coy. No, they're not. All right, we've arrived at this nice little field, this little gated field. Oh, that guy looked like he had a job. Those people have jobs. They're the door openers. Oh my God, look at all these people with jobs. 2, 4, 6, 8. The economic situation is getting worse and worse. So this is some sort of zoo, and in the zoo they've got an animal, and the animal is this. Now this animal is a humanoid, and it's making human-like decisions. I mean, I think if Shrek was employed, this guy is probably employed, right? That's kind of like the level we're looking at. I guess Shrek was able to like sing and dance and stuff though, so that's different. On the other hand, he is captive in a zoo. It's not like it's his oh God. Unless this is more circus than zoo. If this is some sort of circus, right? Is there ever a job in which the person who's employed has to be hoisted out of a room with chains? Unless it's like a performance. But this doesn't feel like a performance. This man is out of control, and he's doing real damage to my body and mind. So yeah, he doesn't count. He's not, this is a zoo animal, not an employed human being. Now we have to head towards the church now. That's the next, oh my Jesus Christ. Hello? Not seeing a whole lot of employment, to be honest with you. It's a very nice church. I like the church a lot. But it feels like all the people who worked here probably got preoccupied with something today and maybe ended up, you know, getting shot in the face. It's just what happens sometimes. When the enumerator comes to town, you better lock your doors because he's coming. He's armed and fully loaded. Hello? Any employed people in here? Anybody?
Don't come.
Oh, no. All right, the Bureau has sent a backup enumerator, so she's here to help me count. Oh my goodness. Well, sir, I like those robes. I can only think of one way someone like you could afford robes like that. Oh my God, the number of people in this village is unrealistic. This is ridiculous. All right, you stay here. Let's count these people first and foremost. I can't kill them yet because I got to count them. 1, 2, Jesus Christ. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. Were those people employed? I don't know. I don't know. And I don't have the energy to figure it out, okay? They were at the church, but they weren't of the church. Were they people going to church? I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that was different about them is they had torches. Torches don't mean anything. Everyone in villages like this have torches. There's no way all those people were groundskeepers for the church. We already saw the groundskeepers for the church, and they're dead. So these people showed up from God knows where else, which means who knows how many of them were employed. And therefore, I'm going to add those people to the undetermined employment list. And at the end, we're going to take the employment rate, and we're going to apply it to that group. Same as we did for those other people in the little fishing area. Okay? Okay. And until I think of a better solution, that's just what's going to happen. I sent an email to the Bureau of Labor Statistics in the United States the other day to ask them for help on how to make those kinds of determinations, but they never emailed me back. That's true. I really did that. Listen, I'm not giving up until I get all the way through this whole part of the game, because I think we're almost done, but there are still a couple more places that we need to look before we really truly move on from the village. It's a big village, okay? I warned you. Now, let's see. What type of place is this? This looks like a military base. So are these people all, like, enlisted in the military? Is that what's going on? Holy hell, they're right here. Once again, the first thing we have to do is find out how many people are actually here. We can do that by killing them. I know it's not ideal, but, you know. 5 people in this area. Now we just have to figure out what type of area this is. As usual, it looks like a military base. So despite the fact that, oh, there's more people. Never mind. Hold on. Let me count the rest. 8 people total in this area. Now what this area looks like to me is it does look like some sort of military base. And I know maybe your first thought is, well, but they're not wearing any sort of military uniforms. And that's true. They're not. But we don't want to be culturally insensitive. You know, I could imagine a society where every single person is dressed the same no matter what job they're doing. Now, is that smart? Maybe not, because then you can't tell who's in the military and who's going to serve your burger at McDonald's. Some people would say that uniforms are a convenient delineator, right? If you have a question, if you're at McDonald's, if you can't tell the difference between your waiter and your, oh my God. No. Ah, wait, I was wrong. This might be a mine. It could be like a mine turned military base. but it sure looks like a mine. There's a lot of mining going on. It's like, yeah, this got to be an active mine because those things are full. So all these people are working at the mine. Is that how this goes? Okay, so we're counting everybody in this area as people who work at a mine. Which, believe it or not, that is a total of 28 more people. All right, believe it or not, I think that pretty much wraps us up because that is the entrance to the next area, the castle area, which is its whole own thing. We're not going to be including the castle in the calculation. We're just talking about the rural village that the castle is in control of. Part of the reason for that is that I'm pretty sure the castle has 100% employment because everyone in there is a slave. But the other reason is I've been doing this for 5 days and I'm sick of killing people and counting them. So now that's all that's left to do is I got to take all the data on these pieces of paper, send them off to the Bureau, and I will compile you a report on the unemployment situation in Valdelobos, or whatever it's called. It is sure to be a very exciting press conference, so I'm going to throw it over to them to give you the lowdown. Hello, everybody. Hi. Welcome to the press conference for the employment situation summary for, excuse me, for Valdelobos in Spain. This survey and these results are a little bit different than the ones that we've done recently in the past, so bear with me as we get through some of the details. But let's just get this started. So, Valdelobos is a village in Spain. The total service payroll employment for Valdelobos is at 203 persons, and unemployment is at 8.2%. That is what the Bureau of Labor Statistics has put together today in this report. Though perfect accuracy in enumeration proved difficult, it's estimated that the bulk of working persons in Valdelobos were in mining and related chain industries. Now it says here, perfect accuracy in enumeration proved difficult. What does that mean exactly? As far as I can gather, and this is not, the details aren't in this report because of course you want the report to remain as objective as possible, but as far as I can gather, the actual surveying process was met with local resistance. My understanding is that these results should be close, but maybe a little bit less down to the person, you know, compared to other results that we've talked about. So anyway, I'll continue. So yeah, most people are working in mining and related chain industries. That accounts for nearly 40% of total workforce makeup at the time of the survey. Other employment sectors include agriculture, construction, and space keeping. But despite the first former producing shippable goods, in theory, those seem to be entirely intra-community services. So they're the only actual interaction with the outside economy that this place has seems to be in exporting coal. All of their farming, all of their agriculture is for their own community. Valdelobos has an unemployment rate, like we said, of 8.2%. And at this moment in time, the population seems to be engaged, employed, and in a good position to provide more than adequate housing and resources to its population, despite that number being what you might typically view as higher than desirable. Demographically, Valdelobos is in an unsustainable situation. There is no evidence of a single person having retired, nor a single person under the age of approximately 40 years old. The vast majority of the population appeared to be between the ages of 50 and 70, which will most likely lead to a complete social collapse in the next decade as people lose their ability to participate and start requiring communal care, pulling more and more people away from their singular export of coal. Now, there are a couple more paragraphs that go into a few more interesting details about their situation here, talking about how there are hundreds of thousands of Spanish pesetas all scattered around, but they're all entirely in gold bars and stuff, and you assume that this is the money they make from the coal, but it doesn't seem like that money is like used in the community. So it's unclear exactly where all that money is going or what it's being used for. So, you know, there's some more details in there. If you want the full report, you'll be able to read it down in the description. 8.2% puts Valdelobos ahead of every city we've surveyed so far. The second place city behind it would be Whiterun from Skyrim, which had 9.4%. Yeah, more information in the report. You can read that down below if you want, just to get really into the nitty-gritty. That's the situation in Valdelobos. So, you know, there you go. Okay, if you enjoyed this video, guess what? I've got a lot of other videos just like it. This is our 4th unemployment survey, so you've got 3 more to watch if this is the first one you're seeing. I've also got plenty of other content, which is great news because the number one thing you can do to help me out is to immediately watch another one of my videos. And if you did enjoy this video, please leave a comment down below saying you enjoyed it because, you know, I want to know. because I am here to serve you. And the last thing that I want to say to you is, guess what? In my free time, I make a lot of music. I use that music in all of my YouTube videos. So today, I'll leave you with this. Please enjoy the song. I'll see you next time. Adios.